to the Cinementalists. Noun, plural. Definition, those whose love for movies runs so deep, they can't help but do a podcast about them. Hosted by Colton Robertson and Joseph George. Hello everybody and welcome in to the Cinementalists. Today, we conclude our coverage of the trilogy of The Lord of the Rings. Today is The Return of the King. It originally released December 17th, 2003, written for the screen by Fran Walsh, Philippa Boyens, and Peter Jackson, directed by Peter Jackson, based off the novel, of course, by J.R.R. Tolkien. I am Colton Robertson. I'm joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you. What a trilogy. What a trilogy. What a treat this was, man. How are you feeling on the other end of what has got to be a new all-time favorite as far as franchises are concerned? It's
done. You know, like I feel like I don't know if that is what Frodo says at the end. Whenever finally, like it's done. It's gone. It's been released. This has been a franchise that's been needing to be watched for quite some time. And even though I said it's done, I am not over. I need the extended versions as well. I'm gonna need to dive further. And I'm inevitably gonna watch The Hobbit, you know, the prequels, and then the TV show. I'm all in. It's even though I still don't think these last two movies had the magic that Fellowship had. It just kind of had something else to it. It's still in the ballpark. It's still like it's.
Oh, they're still fantastic movies, and I agree. I agree wholeheartly. I said in the Fellowship episode that I doubt either of the other two movies was going to be able to do that for me. And I've emerged from the other side, still believing that to be the case. I don't think they had I don't think they hold a candle to Fellowship for me. They're still fantastic. Don't get me wrong. They're still utterly great movies, but that just had a certain element to it that these other two movies just did not have, and I absolutely adored it, man. I've enjoyed this trilogy a great deal. I always loved the books, so it was nice to see them adapted as faithfully as you possibly can. These are just massive stories, so it was always going to be a challenge, and I feel like Peter Jackson did about as good as you possibly could here.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even read the books at all, but I have this feeling of like knowing the world at a somewhat detailed level. Like I feel like I there's no way I know it on the level like Star Wars quite yet, but I feel like it's one of those that you can just dive into, and there's probably little details, or I don't know. I bet the wiki goes crazy for Lord of the Rings and stuff, but yeah, I mean, I don't know why I always did just kind of avoid this sect of fantasy, the wizard and magic and I don't know side, but man, it was in Fellowship. I thought it was just the best kind of setup, and just it was all about each other and just the more intimate relationships. I felt like, and then in the last two, like I feel like they're epic. Like they are grander. Like there's massive battles. There is massive armies. The VFX are like insane. Like Gollum, you know, only improved every single movie. Like Andy Serkis, I didn't know he could get better. And like so there are things that do get a lot better. But I feel like it's just the story itself. It's like they've already reached that kind of pinnacle at the end of Fellowship, and it's like, yep, now we're just on the way to destroy the ring, and it's the battle, the war kind of has begun, and that can only kind of ride so high for so long, I feel like.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And you know, you speak to the I think that the intimacy of the first one obviously comes from all of our characters being in the same place at the same time. You know, like and we're not bouncing from place to place the way we are in Two Towers and Return of the King, you know, like all of our players are in the same place, so we spend time in all of those places. Whereas, you know, Minas Tirith and Rohan and Gondor and, you know, all these different locations where we're bouncing. We got Mordor and everything going on there, and we're bouncing. You can make an argument that Fellowship might even still be, obviously the battle sequences and stuff in the latter two movies are much grander, but as far as a travelogue epic,
It's
Fellowship
prettier.
might even still be as epic, like
Yeah.
it takes you from the Shire all the way to Mordor, and then Frodo and Sam, they spend the next two movies obviously on their own trek, but they're in roughly the same place the whole time. It's just a much more difficult
Mm-hmm.
trek to walk,
Yeah, it's like in Fellowship, it's just a small group. It is just the Fellowship traveling across these
hmm
lands, and it feels as grand as these massive armies traveling through the
hmm
lands, And I,
Yeah.
I feel like the epic or the scale of the last two is just from the size of the armies and like the
Right.
castles and like just seeing that. But in the first one, it was like, no, actually look how small the group is, beyond this massive landscape, just the world that is
Right.
bigger than anything but
Well,
also familiar. Like at the same, I don't know. It's just the first
and I
movie
think
just, ooh, it just had
I
it.
think in Fellowship too, like when it comes to Two Towers and Return of the King, the adversity they face is what's in their path. Whereas in Fellowship, I feel like the adversity was their path. Like
Mm,
the road they were traveling was literally difficult to travel.
mm-hmm.
Whereas it feels like that kind of gets lost in the last two movies, and it becomes what's in their way, which is not a problem. Obviously, like it's not actually a gripe. I think it's just what makes the first one so special is that the journey itself felt difficult, not just what they were going to come across in that journey. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Even though what they came across in that journey was still a problem. Um, I think when you dedicate an entire hour of these other two movies to battles, um, it gains a certain awesomeness. It gains a certain epicness,
Mm-hmm.
but I do think it loses that intimacy.
Yeah.
Because it's there's certain moments in these battles though, specifically in this one. The Battle of Helm's Deep was more just badass than anything, but
Mm-hmm.
and the culmination of it was really really strong. But we get the moment with Eowyn in this one where I am no man. Can you imagine how
Ooh.
that would be lit up today? Um,
Oh yeah, dude. No, it would. I wonder how was it taken over at the time? Like, was it actually
I
seen
don't.
as just like,
I
oh
mean, it's
fuck
from
yeah,
the original
like
fucking book, man. It's
yeah.
a
Oh
it's
dude,
going
come
going
on
back
now.
that far. So
I mean, the
I
dude
don't
set
know.
himself up for it. No man
Oh
can kill
yeah,
me. I mean, come on, dude. Like, what do
yeah.
you, what, yeah, I mean, that's just
Stabs him in the
destiny
fucking
right there.
face. That's
Yeah.
hard.
Or
That's hard.
not face,
Yeah,
I don't even,
whatever's in there.
what is back there? He just
It's a
vacuumed
little
up
bit of that.
too.
It's a little bit of that. What's his fuck from Ahsoka? Um,
Ooh, Marok.
Marok. Yeah,
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 yeah, man, it is crazy to seeing like, oh shit, wow, Star Wars here, or like, oh shit, wow,
yeah.
Game of Thrones, or like, or it's, I don't know, the kind, I don't know, I feel like Star Wars, I don't know, the books have always been out, so it's hard to tell like what like inspired what in certain moments, if like the movies are
Hmm.
actually pulling from like Star Wars, but then Star Wars at its root it was inspired by like the books and stuff at the beginning, so it's like real, I don't
Right.
know, I feel like this ever going or ever repeating cycle,
Yeah, it's
but
the same with Dune and all
mm-hmm.
that good stuff. But
uh
yeah,
but
Mustafar is almost certainly inspired by Mount Doom.
yep,
Like it's
yep.
it's definitely Mordor there. There's all sorts of stuff that you can point to, but yeah, man, I don't know. I really did adore this movie, and I thought that it was a wonderful conclusion to a great trilogy.
Mm.
You
Oh
know,
yeah.
I don't view it as I just view Fellowship as my top one, and then Two Towers and Return of the King are just kind of like 2A, 2B. Either
Mm-hmm.
way, really, I think that they're pretty much they feel the same. You know what I'm saying? Like obviously
Mm-hmm.
we make a lot of development story wise, and there's a lot of a lot of leaps and bounds. But it's funny how every movie I feel like even less happens. If that makes sense. We spent more time with
Uh-huh.
each movie thereafter, which
Yeah.
is insane.
Yeah, you're kind of right. And I don't know. It is, but Fellowship just feels simpler. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like the Matrix trilogy a little bit, where like the first movie, it's the whole world that grabs you and you're blown away by that, and then also the movie itself is just really good and and just
hmm
holds its own. But then the last two movies, you're kind of like, well, I needed to watch the Matrix first in order to get to what is it?
Yeah.
Not Resurrections. That's, I feel like that's the last.
Resurrection's the fourth one,
Yeah,
but
that
Revolutions
thank
and
you.
Reloaded.
There it is. But like to, you need to go in order for them. Like, no way I'm just
Mm-hmm.
gonna like pop in and watch Two Towers. If I'm
Well,
watching Two Towers, I'm watching the whole thing, as one big movie. But I feel like I can just watch Fellowship on my own, like on its own, and then stop there. But
right.
I don't know. I feel like I'm trashing the last two movies, but like,
No, 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 not
yeah,
at
I'm
all.
not
Because
trying to.
no, not by any means. Because these movies were still fucking great. And frankly, when it comes to comparing them to The Matrix, Two Towers and Return of the King fucking wash
Mm,
Reloaded and
yes.
Revolutions. You know, like
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
far better movies. But I get what you're saying. I would like to point out, you know, a lot of people like to think that the blockbuster filmmaking, you know, franchise stuff reached its peak with like you know, the last 10 years with the Avengers and you know, superhero movies and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love to direct your attention to 1999 through 2005, which
Mm-hmm.
brought us the Star Wars prequel trilogy. It brought us the entire Matrix trilogy. It brought us
Mm-hmm.
the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy. It brought
Mm-hmm.
us Spider-Man 1 and 2
Oh
directed by
shit.
Sam Raimi. It brought us
Yeah.
X-Men and X2. It, you know, like there's a
Okay.
an
Yeah.
insane amount of blockbuster franchise filmmaking in that 6 year stretch that is
Hmm.
actually extremely strong. Um,
Man. Yeah, I wonder how much like just technology and like just like we can finally do some shit now. Like we can have this motion capture character Gollum,
mm-hmm,
but actually make it look real, or Spidey like swinging and actually look sort of real
right.
as a CG character. Yeah, and like,
100%. That's
huh,
definitely part of it, you know?
man. Yeah, and I feel like I don't know if we've gotten too lost in that sauce of just like we can do it now, so we must take it to the maximum instead of, I don't know, just
Right.
using it whenever it's
Well,
necessary.
and we talked about it on Fellowship. I think that there's a certain charm to, you know, whenever they go like bullet time in the Matrix.
Mm.
And when you watch Spider-Man swinging from, you know, building to building, and you know, when you see the Balrog face off with Gandalf, there's a
Mm-hmm.
charm to it not looking hyper realistic. You
Mm.
know, like there is fantasy to it. That is part of the point. That I like. I don't want it to feel like I
Yeah.
want it to feel like it could be real, but I don't love. I don't know. There's something cool and really fulfilling as an artist. I'm sure a VFX artist to make something as real as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But I think elevating it beyond what's strictly realistic makes it all the more compelling. I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like, especially with Lord of the Rings or Star Wars or a universe in which it is not our own, like this world isn't our own. Why are we trying to make Earth, as closely, I don't
Right.
know, to, or reality just as close to ours? Like it feels like it should just match whatever world we are in. And
Legit, the only franchise I think that has ever benefited from things looking as hyper realistic as possible when it comes to visual effects is the sequel trilogy. That shit's insane. That might be the pinnacle of what we're capable of visual effects wise in the modern era, in my opinion.
mm-hmm. It is
Like
crazy.
there's no hole to poke in the VFX of those movies. It's absolutely
Ooh,
insane.
I'll give
Um,
not a franchise that I think stacks up as much as these, but like Transformers, that's one that kind of
mm,
needs to look as real, just as that one is just like, yeah, it's a fucking mecha
it's a
truck.
car.
It's like,
Yeah, it's a
yeah,
car. Yeah.
and we're on Earth, but like, yeah, that's nah. I feel like, yeah, I don't know. It just had its own look. Everything fit so well. Every actor was like playing into their role so hard that like it
Hmm.
was actually believable. Like Aragorn, oh my god, that, like, there's no way that I am seeing that man as anyone else. Like, I mean, like,
Yeah, Viggo
or
Mortensen
yeah,
is Aragorn. Yeah,
he's
son
and
of Arathorn.
he just gives everything. And like, and that was, it's his movie. I feel like, at least in the name, it's the Return of the
Nah,
King, and I
that's
don't know.
Samwise
Yeah.
Gamgee's movie
Okay.
right there,
Yes.
buddy.
Yes.
This is a Samwise
Yes.
movie through and through. And that's what's really really interesting about. I thought after the first movie that I would have another chance to give Frodo my character.
Mm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
really don't think I can.
Nope.
Um, even
Nope.
though he is undoubtedly great, you know, like, but everything they do to build up that character is in Fellowship, and everyone else after is trying to live up to his example, which does make him pretty awesome, you know, like,
Mm.
he inspires everybody to go on to do all the stuff that they do in the following two movies, which
Mm-hmm.
again does make him an awesome character. And I love the way that this movie, more than either of the previous two, shines a light on the hobbits becoming heroes. You know, like they were brave, and they rode into darkness when they didn't know what lied on the other side in Fellowship, and they faced, you know, Merry talking to to Treebeard and motivating him and stuff in the last movie, but then them being at the head of the fucking charge alongside Aragorn
Yup.
as they charge towards the dark forces. That is fucking awesome, man. And Samwise, you know, I can't carry it, but I can carry you. You know, like, don't go where I can't follow, and all that good stuff. It is fucking awesome, man. I love it.
I don't know how many times I just like saluted the screen or like stood up and just felt, I don't know, I was just like, holy like Sam was most of those moments. Aragorn had a few, and like just there were so many of just like, holy shit, come on. And then like I feel like some of the speeches though, like at the like Theoden, is that his name? The king?
Theoden, yes.
Yeah, he I think had the best one, actually.
100%.
And in the sword against the spears, oh, I don't know, that shit was
So
just hard.
pimp.
That shit
So
was hard.
pimp.
I don't know if that's been done before.
Yeah, one of the most
else.
underrated performances of this movie,
Yeah.
Bernard Hill as Theoden, who actually passed away earlier this year, by the way, about 7 months ago. But
Man,
incredible performance. Unbelievable performance he's putting on as Theoden. And because he's Theoden and he's not one of the main guys, I feel like I shouldn't go with him for performance. But dude, when he's on his deathbed and he's talking to Eowyn, that's one of the most crushing moments of the movie, you know? And it makes you really appreciate the time we spend in Rohan with them in the last couple movies, you know?
The extendeds are just gonna hit so much harder. Like it's it's only gonna make that stuff even better. And it was already good.
That's what's interesting is I think Fellowship is definitely the best the best theatrical. I would not be surprised if Two Towers and Return of the King are just vastly improved by the extended editions, you know?
I think you're right there. Yeah, I think Fellowship, it doesn't feel like it needs anything more. It's just it is complete, but man, I'll see whatever the extended has to give me. But I need more, a little more background, or I need a little more something. And I feel like what this one could have strengthened from was just the romance, like the end of Aragorn and Arwen. Like it's like it feels good. It's like, yeah, like it, you know, she's mortal now. She's actually doing it. The future, you know, we saw their son, and it's like it's cool. But like I feel like, I don't know, it just wasn't. I feel like there just should have been a little bit more or something.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you there. And we've talked about this numerous times. I will always think a movie can be better for having romance involved in it. But this is one of those examples where I'm glad they did at least this. I do wish there was more though. You know, like Arwen pops up at the beginning of the movie, is like, oh shit, I don't think I can go through with this. I'm gonna go home. You know, she motivates Elrond to reforge the sword, and you know all that good stuff. But then she just pops up at the end, and that's that. You know, it's kind of like, okay. It's like what's crazy is the more fully formed romance is between him and Eowyn.
Yeah,
and you know, and even so, watching that unfold, you go, well, I don't want this to happen, but I don't know why I don't want it to happen.
Yeah.
You know, like you know, you want him with Arwen, but everything they've given you on screen gives you more reason to believe that he could be with Eowyn. But coming off of watching Arwen give up her immortality and stuff, you realize there's only one route to go at that point. But
I don't know. It is a weird kind of love triangle, I guess, there. And it's like in Arwen, you know, I guess Aragorn gave kind of the best answer. He's just like, you know, I can't give you what you want. And then like, I mean, if I got turned down by Aragorn, I mean, I'm going to be a mess for like at least the next couple months. I'm not coming out of my room, but I mean, hey, she goes to battle and kills a fucking,
the Witch King.
Yeah. So I think she did pretty damn good. She was motivated as hell, and
she held it down.
But man, it's
I love the way that she held it down for Merry, which was dope as fuck, you know, like whenever they're like, he shouldn't, you know, it's no place for a hobbit. And she's like, why can't he fight? You know, like, why can't he fight for those he loves? You know, what makes him unworthy? You know, I loved that stuff because, you know, she sees herself in that a little bit, you know, like the men are going off to war. Why can't I fight? You know, all that. I think that it provides her that angle where she can see the value in every soldier.
I think another a man line set up there where I think Theoden says like no man should have to carry the burden of protecting you or something like that, and then
Right.
boom,
Yeah.
she pulls up
Yeah. Good.
and takes him instantly, and it's like, oh come on, it's like, yeah, she was. It felt like I wanted like Aragorn to maybe be like maybe that time is gone. I don't know, like this like I don't know how the romance could have been written differently. Like it feels like it just has to end with
Well, it's
Arwen.
just one of those.
But
It's one of those things where I think from the jump, given this journey that we do see unfold, Aragorn and Arwen were never going to get explored incredibly. They have a history.
mm-hmm.
They have an implied history when we get to Fellowship. Like they've already tried it and kind of already decided it probably wasn't going to work because of his mortality and her immortality. Like it's like a man and an elf. We probably just can't do this. I don't want to ask that of you. Like all we get from them is just an understanding of what was and what could be, and we don't really get to see what is. And there's no way to tell this story in a way unless Arwen goes on the journey with them, which just wasn't going to happen either.
Yeah, I don't know, that they do be having visions all the time. I feel like it just like we do just randomly pop in and have a vision of the future, or like I thought that was
Right.
actually pretty cool. Of oh man, I'm Agent Smith. He's not Agent Smith. His name in here,
Elrond.
Elrond. Thank you. Elrond like actually being the one to be like, hey, like my daughter's life is now actually tied to your success, basically. Like you mustn't fail or else my daughter will die. The light is going out with her. And that was pretty cool to see him like instantly lock in and be like, oh shit, like I was already on the right path and doing king shit, but I feel like from that moment he was like, no fucking around. He's like,
it also kind of reminded him where his heart is, like he'd let her, he'd also believed at that time that she was leaving. Like the elves were leaving. They were going off. They were taking their last ship off of Middle Earth or whatever. And so like there's one less thing for him to worry about in a way there. It's one less thing for him to be fighting for. And then it reminds him like, oh, there's even more to fight for than I thought. And and I agree. I think that Aragorn, it's fascinating to see like, he kind of rises to the occasion in Two Towers. And he kind of becomes the character you want him to be. And then, we see him rally the Ghost Army here in this movie when he puts the sword up to his face after they're like, we only answer to the King of Gondor. Yeah. And you're like, oh, yeah, you're about to fucking see.
Oh, just wait, dude. Yeah, just wait.
That was hard. Bro, like, I loved that part.
Bro,
so like there are
Snow
moments.
Could never.
Oh, yeah.
Like this, he took Game of Thrones to the ultimate new level. He took the Army of the Dead allied with them, not even the wildlings.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a whole different ally thing here, and it was kind of that. I don't know, it felt a little fast. I feel like that they just kind of like were in, and then boom. I mean, when they came into the battle, they just swept through everybody, and it was just kind of like, I mean, damn. I mean, yeah, what are you gonna do against the dead that only?
Well, I think
that
it's cool
one
that they
sword.
make it clear that only that sword does anything to them. So they were fucked. Which is like you texted me, you're like, it is a little bit of a cheat code, but like they needed a little bit of a cheat code. They were not going to win.
Yeah, that is true. They were fucked. Yeah, it was going down right then and there. And yeah, I mean, and it was kind of cool. Like after he was like, you know what? No, like your oath has been fulfilled, and they instantly were just like, sweet death. They were just like, finally, holy
Thank
shit.
God I can know peace.
Yeah, and I thought maybe they were gonna like actually betray one more time or something like that, but I don't know. It was cool to get that little moment there, and Aragorn, his speech, like I don't know, Theoden just kind of knocked it out of the park. I felt like, but Aragorn's speech was good. I felt like they just needed more crowd involvement. I don't know, like it felt like the crowd wasn't really behind him for whatever reason.
Yeah, whenever the people of Rohan are chanting death, that is fucking hard, dude. That is so cool. What really fulfills me about Aragorn's is, I love that Theoden got to deliver this big speech to everybody, and everybody's reacting and all this. But then whenever the most important part is when he looks back at the Fellowship and goes, for Frodo. and just like whispers to them, like it's us, like it's us against the world. He says that to Gandalf, Legolas, and Gimli, and the two hobbits, and he's like, now we ride, like that's cold. I love that.
Hard.
So I think there is a little bit of I think they are specifically drawing a difference between Theoden and Aragorn's speeches for the hardest hitting part to be intimate versus the hardest hitting part being grand.
Aragorn is much more of an action man. He speaks through what he does, and just to the whole crowd, to the whole army there, he doesn't rile them up on that charge. They just see him
runs
charge.
In, which is cool. That riles it up in its own way, like and like I love that he just says for Frodo, and then he charges, and everybody's like, oh, guess we're going now. And so like he's out there on his own for a while. The hobbits run, everybody run. It's good. It's good stuff, man. So like that's why ultimately, like I know we're comparing it negatively to Fellowship, but I like after I finished Fellowship, I went to my list of my 500 favorite movies of all time, and Fellowship like went straight to the top 50. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
it's unfair to like compare against perfection a little bit. Like it's hard to call a movie perfect, but as far as starting out like a franchise, and I don't know, like this is I don't think I can ever call a movie perfect, but goddamn, Fellowship
feels like it. Yeah.
It was ringing at different levels. I don't know. It's just different. It has a magical nature to it. But then the last two just kind of they have kind of the remnants of it. I don't know. It's just it is after Fellowship. It's the continuation. So you're still riding that high. So it's like it's never bad.
The feelings that you had in Fellowship, like it's the epilogue, like the joy of the epilogue is the closest I get to feeling like I did during Fellowship. You know what I'm saying? Like whenever Frodo wakes up in the bed and the music, the Fellowship theme swells as they all surround him in his bed, and Samwise comes in and they lock eyes and stuff. Like that moment, I'm like, yes, and I really love the epilogues. I love Aragorn's crowning and all that good stuff, but one of my favorite moments of the epilogue is whenever Frodo goes, "What do you even do after all that?" Because it's cool to see him standing in the Shire in his home and just kind of like looking with like a cup of coffee in his hand. You feel the same way he does, kind of like
like what?
In a fucked up way. So that's that.
Yeah.
Like that's it, like
you do the biggest thing of all time in this world, basically. Like you were responsible
home,
for the biggest event, and then you're just like, all right, time to drink at the bar, and
I love that they did that because it makes you feel expressly like it's not the right thing for him.
Yeah.
Like it's not his. Like that's. And it makes you understand why Bilbo was the way he was, too. Like, Bilbo got to go on this big adventure, and then he always wanted more, Like, that's why he decided to dip out at his birthday party in Fellowship, and that's why he decided to go to Rivendell, and why he's ready to leave, and he's ready for one last adventure. So like,
what is this, the trip that they're going on? Is it like, it seems like it's the Elvish afterlife, is like the way they're talking about it, but like, is it actually just like a different realm, or like literally a location, or like
I think it's a literal location.
So he's not dying. He's not like literally.
No.
Okay. No. It felt like, I don't know. There was like a sense of me that was like, wait a minute, is he like actually choosing to just afterlife himself?
I think it's just a one-way trip. I don't think it's necessarily death, but I think there is sort of an understanding that he's never coming back is sort of the agreement here.
Okay, because I guess with Bilbo, it felt like, okay, well, he's just so old that it felt like he's like he will die. Like I don't know, he will like soon. But like so it felt like it was kind of an afterlife trip for him. But then Frodo, I was like, wait a minute, like what is actually going on here? Like is he
like Gandalf's going with him too? So like that's. And, maybe there is more of the thing with the elves is that I think they are the thing Elrond says where he's like, it's the age of man now. Like, I I think the elves are just going off to their own world, not
Yeah.
necessarily their like an afterlife, but
That was pretty
because they don't really
cool.
have an afterlife, they're infinite, they're immortal. So like
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, it seems like they did leave it open for some like sequel possibility. I don't know.
yeah, if
Like,
they wanted to do
yeah,
something, they could.
somehow Sauron returned. I feel like it's
See,
only
and that's
natural. Like
yeah.
he like but no, I don't know. Like the rings are over. I wonder like how it if it would just be internal man struggle or because
Well,
I
I
don't know.
mean,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say like there's an argument to be had that like I don't know. I guess I'm gonna draw a comparison to Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wonder if I had waited, and this is just purely what if, so like there's no real way of knowing.
Mm.
If I
Oh
had
yeah.
waited until I was this age to watch the Star Wars original trilogy, I have faith that I would love those movies anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I would think much more negatively of the sequels
Hmm.
as a entity as for existing. I think I would think much more negatively of them for the way that they not undo, but like we tear the galaxy from fascism's grasp, and
Mm-hmm.
within 20 years it's back in fascism's
Boom.
grasp.
Yeah.
Like the comparison would be now Sauron's back.
Yeah. Yeah, that would
Like in
suck. Yeah, it's like
Frodo and the like that would suck ass. Like you would be like, I really don't think I'm gonna watch that fucking movie. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
so that and it's a moot comparison because I do love the sequel trilogy anyway. Like I still love
Mm-hmm.
those movies with all my heart. But that has always been one of my prevailing beefs with it is that like its insistence on going back to previous aesthetics and kind of replicating the original trilogy,
Mm-hmm.
at least in The Force Awakens, it kind of put itself in a box a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's pure what if sort of stuff. There's all sorts of stuff that would have to change in order for anything else to happen. But it's just interesting putting it like that because if there was a movie, like if they were to announce a legacy sequel to Lord of the Rings and it's the dark forces of Mordor try to reorganize in the wake of the death of Sauron and one evil guy rose to the top. Like, I don't know. I'd kind of be like, didn't we just fucking do this?
Yeah.
The ring's destroyed. I don't
Mm-hmm.
even know how evil reigns anymore. Like, it's just
Mm-hmm.
over. So, like,
I thought maybe
it
Christopher Lee, they left him
yeah.
untouched here, and I'm like, oh, maybe he comes back. And I'm like, that maybe that'd be the cool sequel. But then I'm like, oh, now he's gone. They can't make him. And then I watched the scene of him, like what they actually did with him in the extended
Yeah.
version, and oh my god, I don't know. It's one part that I'm like, I can't believe they left out. In the I don't know on at least the trivia says that it stalled the movie is what they said. They said it made it feel too slow. But I don't know. I felt like it was kind of like Gandalf just being like, he has no power anymore. Fuck him. We're moving on. It was just kind of like, okay, cool, whatever. That's all right. It makes sense, He like his whole plan. I don't know. He just got defeated, and I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of accepted Gandalf at face value there. I'm like, yeah, dude just has no power anymore. But to see Christopher Lee fall off the tower and then get impaled by a wooden, I don't know, spike on a wheel. That I don't know. That was just kind of insane.
Right.
And just I feel like it was a nice actual closure for like that part of the evil
Saruman
at
and that
least. Yeah,
character.
and
Yeah.
then just it's done and we can move on. Like it might have stalled them. It was 3 minutes, I guess, the scene that was there, and I don't know. It felt I don't know, at least to me it felt like wow, if that's like just one scene from the extended versions, then I can't wait to get all the rest of them. I mean, that was just one I
Yeah.
picked off YouTube. So I mean, um I don't know. I mean, maybe I don't know. I guess the part that it would have gone in the movie, maybe that was really slow at the time. I don't know, and it really would have halted the movie. But I don't. At least I don't get that reasoning there. To kind of
Right.
just not
Yeah.
check
I'm
in.
trying to think of when it would have plugged in though, and that's kind of the other thing is like I don't really know where you put it. I guess I'll find out in the extended version,
Mm-hmm.
But that I do to go back to what we were saying at the top, I really think that this and Two Towers, the extended editions, will kind of reinvigorate those movies in a way for us. You know, like I'm glad that
Mm-hmm.
there's still another version of this movie that um, I think will definitely be better. You know, like I generally when I hear people talk about these movies, Return of the King is regarded as
Hmm.
the best Lord of the Rings movie, and I'm assuming that's because of the extended editions now. Um, it's like
Wow.
it's like Fellowship and Return of the King, and there are the Two Towers lovers out there, of course, but none of them are universally considered bad by any means. You know, none of
Mm-hmm.
them are like, that's the worst. You know, it's all about what's the best, and I think that that's cool. You know, like there's no like widely accepted. Yeah, that's the nobody really talks about. Yeah, that's the worst one. Um,
Mm-hmm. Man,
it's all debating what the best one is, which I think is cool.
to know the extended version of this can, I mean, I don't know, maybe we just see Fellowship differently than everyone else, but like at least to me, like that, I don't know how even the extended version could beat Fellowship. Like it was,
I don't either.
but hey, I'm all invited if it does happen. But it just I don't know. It feels maybe a few extra scenes is all it needs. But I feel like they're not going to go into the romance like I'm wanting in the extended version. I don't think. I think it's more of
Yeah,
just
it's just
just the
I think it's the newness, the you're
mm,
opening the world for us, and I feel like the
mm-hmm,
world actually does gradually get smaller over the course of the movies. You know, like it does feel like it closes in on specific locations, and now we're pieces on a board, and it's
mm,
a battlefield, and so like it's just different. You know, like and I think that these movies are still like when it comes to uh beginning to end quality trilogies. I mean, it's got to be
sheesh.
top 2 or 3, man. Like it's right there. So I mean, I love it. I love it, and I'm so glad that now I've watched the latter 2 movies because I'd only ever seen Fellowship coming into this, and it makes me really want to reread the books. I've only ever read. I It's funny, same similar to the movies. I've only read Two Towers and Return of the King once, where I've read Fellowship a couple times and
Mm,
I'd seen Fellowship a couple times.
mm-hmm.
So like, it does make me want to go back and read the other books again. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and
This.
I do have a little bit of a desire to watch The Hobbit. You know,
Mm-hmm. I
the
got.
only thing that I've ever not the only reason I've ever not wanted to watch The Hobbit is because of behind the scenes stuff. Like I know um, the latter 2 movies, I'm pretty sure were studio mandated to become a trilogy. Like it should have
Mm,
been 2 movies, and they're not only was it studio mandated to become a trilogy, the movies are each like 2 hours and 40 minutes, so it's just a lot of
ah,
I don't even know what like I don't know. I've never watched that. I've never watched those movies, so like
gotta
the
love the
studio was like, "We want a
studios.
trilogy. We want a trilogy. You got to make another trilogy." So, like, apparently, one of the I'm pretty sure the third Hobbit movie is literally called the Battle of the Five Armies or something like that. Um,
Hmm.
which, yeah, the Battle of the Five Armies. It's 2 hours and 24 minutes, and I'm pretty sure it's just a fucking battle. I'm pretty sure the whole
No.
movie is a fucking battle. Um,
No. I mean, I guess like Return of the King kind of is just a very long extended battle, but like I don't know, I feel like there are the
there's
good slow
multiple
down
battles in
moments
this movie,
and
you know, like
yeah, yeah.
and they do a great job of pacing it too, where like we start in a neutral position,
Mhm.
we get to a battle, return to a neutral position, go to battle, and then the movie culminates, you know, and so like that's one thing I will never complain about the theatrical editions is that they fucking breeze by you for being as long as
Mm.
they are. It's insane how well edited these movies are and how quickly they can fly by you, even though they are objectively long movies.
Mhm.
Um,
And this like I was kind of asking the Game of Thrones question of like how do you end a story this crazy and like this grand and I don't know, it did not fall into the Game of Thrones feeling like I feel
mm-mm.
completely fulfilled like every time I thought the movie was over. I don't know, a couple times and then I'm like, oh, more, yeah, like it was a good thing that like it was
Yeah,
going more and more, but it was just a little happier and a little happier. And even though like whenever we're at the Sam's or Frodo's about to drop the ring, and he's just not quite doing it. I really thought he was just, I don't know. I thought maybe it might have been a little, he might not do it, but I thought he was just legitimately going to drop it. I had no clue how they were going to end this. And I think I do. Initially, I hated him, like turn around and like giving in and like actually putting the ring on. But then I think it makes sense. Like at the end, it's just it.
It just really shows how it really makes his journey all the more impressive that he even got there. That is the corruptive nature of the ring. Like that's how extreme it is that even somebody who is as good at heart and as loving and as good through and through as Frodo can be corrupted by the ring, and like to the point where Gollum was happy to die.
Yep.
With the ring, like he's smiling the whole way down because he's the last one who had the ring, like it's I really do just think that I think it's a great choice to have him be corrupted by it. It makes Sam all the more impressive. It makes you understand Gollum all the more. It makes Gollum all the more tragic,
Yeah.
Getting the view of him at the beginning of the movie when it's just Andy Serkis and they're hobbits, right? Like they're definitely hobbits.
Yep. And just I mean I don't know. It's crazy that Andy Serkis isn't getting the performance like here. Like I think it just has to go to Sean Astin.
Astin is so
holy
good,
fuck.
dude.
But I mean Andy Serkis, yeah. I mean he opens the movie, which is I didn't think that we would be getting a Smeagol and Gollum little backstory. But I don't know. It was just this is what the ring does, and I feel like you don't even have to guard it because like I don't know if it's hubris or just like the ring will absolutely corrupt. Even if you get to Mordor and you're about to drop it in, it's still like no, you can't destroy the thing. It's too powerful. I don't know, and I loved whenever Frodo put it on. Or no, he didn't actually put it on. It's just the Eye of Sauron like saw him just close to Mordor and like in the eye's expression, like you could just see that it was like, oh fuck. It like I don't know. It was just like, wait, what? I felt like it was like you're that close, but then like also just
it was like fuck yeah.
But then also wasn't worried. Was just like, oh nope, now battle time. Opening the gate, and then I don't really care anymore. Like I'm not worried. Like you're not gonna destroy it, and it's. I don't know. It's crazy that it's just a ring. I don't know, and it's just I don't need it. I don't know. It's my favorite MacGuffin of all time. I feel like it's just perfect. This story. It's just, the symbolism it's too. I don't know. It's just good versus evil, and it just works so well in this world. And I don't know. It was like I was hating the ending like while I was watching it because like I wanted Frodo to be ultimately strong and not cave in. And then I didn't want Frodo to leave at the end. I wanted somehow to be a happy ending with all of them. But then like no, it does make sense that the dude I don't know, he cannot recover from that. And I think maybe showing Bilbo be like, oh, it would have just been nice to hold it one more time. I think like even with the ring gone, like it is still corrupting them. And I think that's why like Frodo's just like I have to go. It's
addictive, man. Like they you can tell there's like a piece to be had. Like whenever Sam is holding it out and he even Sam for a second is like, I don't know that I don't really want to give it to you, like and ultimately he does. Whenever Frodo gets it back, he like like he like sighs and holds it to his chest and he like needs it. And I think that's a great MacGuffin, man. Or, and to go back to Star Wars, it's similar to the dark side, like that's exactly what it is, like it's corruptive and it destroys you. But once you start down that path, you kind of need it.
And like is there actually more magical nature to it? Like other than it just turns you invisible and you can go into the other realm? Or is it like, because I feel like it like protects, like they say, like it protects the ring bearer, whoever has it. Like Bilbo was aged, he didn't age because he was holding it. So like I guess there's more to it, but like, is it just you don't age and you can go invisible if you turn it, like put it on, or like, are you like I don't know. Like it feels like there is more going on. And I don't know if that is expressed or not?
It's never really in the movies. I just what I know is that yeah, it turns you invisible, it extends life, it corrupts, and it controls all the other rings. So like
Oh.
that's the important part. It is the one ring to rule them all. So like
Mm-hmm.
if it, I think that if the wrong force has that ring, they can wield absolute power essentially.
Oh. So
Um,
where but the other rings at the time were I thought at the beginning they said they were all I thought or did they mention where all the other rings were? Or did they say they were lost and this was the last one
I feel like
remaining?
all of them were unmade. I think they say. I think they say that all of them
Ah.
were destroyed in that
Ah.
opening
Okay. I
opening
see.
monologue.
Man. Yeah, I don't know. It's just this I don't know. I feel like the books obviously they just knew they were cooking with something. So if they were to go with the sequels, it'd be hard to go off script or like no source material there. It'd be really hard to come up with
Mm-hmm.
what were to happen next. But like that's I don't know. I think off principle you don't make a sequel for this story. Like it just
Oh yeah, you can't.
it kind of just has to end here. And maybe we see the elvish afterlife realm whatever I feel like it does have a name, but like maybe we see what Gandalf and Frodo and Bilbo are up to in with the elves and stuff, and because the Shire seems I don't know Sam I don't know maybe it'd be cool to see like them at the Shire actually struggle with the same thing that Frodo is. This is like, man, we are I don't know, we can't actually stay here. Like it is a little too simple for us now. Or like it's our lives are just a little different. And I guess Sam seems to have completely calmed down and he's like, "Nah, I'm back, baby." But
Right.
I don't know. I really didn't like Frodo leaving at first, but then the more it just made sense. But it felt like it wasn't the ending at all that I was expecting. I don't know. I didn't know really how the bow would be tied, but I at least thought all of them would be together at the end and not Frodo actually splitting up.
Right.
And his I don't know his reaction like he I feel like he just accepted it. He already knew it was happening for such a long time. You know, Gandalf was like, "Hey, all right, it's time, Frodo." So like, he knew it was going on for a long time, and I don't know if that's was it Frodo's decision or was Gandalf the one to be like, "You like actually like have
Oh,
to
definitely
go."
Frodo's
Or
decision. They'd decided, I think, before they'd left that this was their fate. They were going to
mm,
go off together. I think that like to go back to that monologue whenever Frodo's doing the epilogue and he's like, "What do you even do after that?" Like I think it's that he
mm-hmm,
is searching for what's
mm,
next, and this is just what is next. The Shire's no longer his home. He saved that. He saved it. He saved them. But now Bilbo's gone, and while he loves Sam and Pip and Merry, um, there's just more for him out there.
it's too tragic. I don't know. It's like I want too many things to go on at once, you know, and I know you just got to choose
Mm-hmm.
one, I guess. It's like one path just has to be chosen. And man, yeah, this the writing of the books and having I don't know, it felt like a natural like Sam being like, "No, there's a few or a little bit left." So it felt like that was their way of kind of being like well, it worked for the movie, kind of in Frodo being like, "It's
Mm-hmm.
your life's not over," like there's still more for you to do and stuff. But it felt like their way of being like another movie. I don't know, like it felt like they were kind of going hard for the sequel a
Right,
little bit, or
right.
like to set it up for one. But yeah, I don't know.
I think to go to a more a less literal interpretation of it, it could just be that while the adventure is over, the story never ends. Like they all
Mm,
their lives are worth living and worth continuing and worth chronicling, even if it's not an epic adventure.
mm-hmm.
Um, because if that was what it was, it would make more sense for Frodo to keep the book and continue writing because
Yeah.
he's going on the adventure and stuff, but he asked Sam to hold on to it and,
Mm-hmm.
chronicle what happens in the Shire and stuff and all that good stuff. So like, I don't know. I think it's just I do love the way that Frodo completes the book though.
Mm.
The Lord of the Rings and
Oh,
you know, there and back again.
yeah. Way better
It's good
than the
stuff.
Song of Ice and Fire kind of reveal at the end. I
Yeah.
don't know. This one landed a whole lot better and yeah, I think I do agree. Like it is it is the ending that should have happened, and I think it does make sense. And man, I guess I shouldn't think in the literal sense of like, no, we are setting up the sequel here. It is, I feel like, because if they, you know, were going under the condition of like, they're, don't want to say never, but they're never gonna have an adventure like that again. That is peak of their lives, probably, no matter what.
Yeah.
They're, I don't know. That's just kind of, they did the thing of the time, and I guess Frodo's kind of the only one who might have more. I don't know what is going on over in the Elvish lands or over there, but like, I even then, I feel like that's just kind of like they just hang out and chill over there for the
Right.
rest of their days. So yeah, it's like if you hold yourself to that standard of like fellowship, I don't know, it's like maybe I should look at the Two Towers and Return of the King differently. It's like I shouldn't hold it to that standard almost. But yeah, they just gotta move on and gotta continue
Mm-hmm.
on. And man, it is just bittersweet at the end. It's like it just feels, I'm so fulfilled, and ever like just the whenever Frodo just wakes up and it's just one by one people coming in, it just
Yeah.
feels so good. And then just Sam walks in, and they're just like, damn. Like just out of just the in the eyes alone, no words were spoken, but like 1,000 words were like
Mm-hmm.
telepathically spoken there. It was, oh my god, I don't know, just the chemistry they had together was,
Oh, incredible.
yeah.
Incredible.
And yeah, this, I don't know. I feel like it's the relationship of the trilogy. Should have been Aragorn and Arwen, but no. It
It's
is
definitely
Samwise and
Samwise and
Frodo.
Frodo.
Yeah. What's the ship name? Is, I don't know, I feel like Soto. That does, I don't know. Yeah. One doesn't.
Fro-wise? I don't know.
Ooh, Fro wise. What is Baggins and
Yeah.
Bam,
Baggy.
Baggy? Yes. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. It doesn't. I don't know. It feels. I don't know what other ship name I want to compare it to. It didn't roll off the tongue or it didn't, one
Mm-hmm.
didn't pop up as good as I thought. But no, definitely the highlight of the whole trilogy there. And I feel like not the only like emotionally resonant, like I just feel like the most consistent emotionally
Oh,
resonant
for
part
sure.
of the movie
It's
is
the
them.
focal point, and frankly, it should be the focal point of the story. It just feels that I do feel short-sold on Aragorn to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
But even so, that the story is about Frodo and his journey to Mordor and all that. So it feels right
Mm-hmm.
that Frodo and
Yeah.
Samwise are the focal point. But
You texted me and you
we got
said,
a nice Gimli Legolas moment. I never thought I'd die
uh,
fighting side by side with an elf. How about side by side with a friend?
mm.
I I can do that. I love that. I love that.
And
That's a great.
they were consistent all the way through. I mean, I don't know, just but to your point, I don't know. It felt like one of them should have died. Like I don't,
Hmm.
like we needed to actually say goodbye to someone, but we didn't.
Well, you could
And
argue that's also what makes Fellowship so poignant too.
mm,
Like
mm-hmm,
the Borrow ship, Boromir sending him off.
yeah,
Like obviously to adhere to book accuracy, like they're not going to kill off one of the
mm,
other members, but like
mm-hmm,
it's it is something that in terms of raising the stakes. I mean, the stakes are pretty fucking high, man.
yeah,
Like that's why I'm like I don't know that.
yeah.
I just feel like there is an emotional gut punch, another emotional gut punch we could have gotten out of this probably.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It is nice having them all in the bedroom at the end, just giving them a
Hmm.
hug and not someone missing. But I mean, shit. Who Boromir and Faramir's dad? Like, holy shit! The one of the worst.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
what? Fuck that
Really
guy.
lost his fucking mind,
Yeah.
man.
Fuck that
Yeah.
guy. Imagine telling your son, like, yeah, no, I actually wish my other son was here and that you were dead. I want yes,
And I
confirming
wish that
your.
so badly that I'm gonna kill us both.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, oh, I don't know, the dude, and I loved that, like the first time he went outside, like just in probably forever, he's like, oh shit, like they're actually here. I have done nothing to prepare
Right.
for this. He's like, and the way he ate too, fuck him. I don't know,
Disgusting.
everything about this guy
Disgusting.
just sucks. He's the Walder Frey of this universe.
Mm-hmm.
I feel
A
like,
little bit, a little bit.
yeah, just
There's a great moment filmmaking wise whenever he tosses Pippin out the door.
mm, mm-hmm.
He tosses someone much smaller with his hand, and he rolls, and then the actor just pops up in front of the camera, like he rolls out of frame,
Hmm.
and the actor playing, I think it's Billy Boyd. I want to say I might have that wrong.
Let's see. Yep, Billy Boyd is Pippin.
Billy Boyd.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he pops up in front of the camera and is like breathing heavy and stuff. Like
Hmm.
it's just a nice little Texas switch. I love those sorts of things. Whenever Singing in the Rain, whenever somebody gets like tossed over the bar and then he pops up and all that good stuff. Like it's the same technique, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Pippin.
it's a good little detail.
Pippin got the pipes on him, dude.
Underrated.
Yeah,
Underrated.
and became a knight, or I don't know if he was truly a knight or what position he had there. But then I thought him singing, was just kind of out of nowhere, and I'm like, okay, well, whatever. But then it led to just a sick. I don't know. It was
Yeah.
whenever he was eating, and it was all disgusting. But it was also paired with like the war and like mashing of heads,
Battles,
and like so
yeah,
it was
yeah,
actually
yeah.
kind of cool. So like, I mean, even though I hated the dude, it was really great ass voice, great ass sequence, and just I don't know. It felt ethereal. I don't know. It was like, holy shit, this battle is like I don't. It was every battle was kind of the same thing. Was just masses against masses, and I felt like, man, this is gonna get old eventually. But like, I don't know. Every battle
It
they
never really
had,
does,
yeah,
no.
it's always there. So I don't know how they did it, but like it is. I feel like most of this army I know is obviously CG, but like I just wonder like what the maximum number of people they got in one shot for real, like the
Right.
how many extras they got for an in real shot, or if they just kind of resorted to CGI for just most of it because they knew, well, there's going to be 20, 40, I don't even know how many tens of thousands or
Holy
hundreds of
shit.
thousands or I don't million, I don't know what number range we're in for this orc or the evil army, whatever the fuck they're all made up of. It feels like they're all just kind of a hodgepodge of, I don't know. Are they?
Mm-hmm.
They say like orc
There's
kind. I
orcs,
feel
there's
like,
goblins. Yeah, there's a couple things going on, but
man.
this was nominated for 11 Oscars
Oh,
and won 11 Oscars.
woo, woo.
It won Best Picture, it won Best Director, it won Best Adapted Screenplay, it won Best Editing, it won Best Art Direction, it won Best Costume Design, it won Best Makeup, it won Best Music, Best Original
Wow.
Song, Best Sound Mixing, Best Visual Effects.
Holy shit.
Yeah, all three of these movies were nominated for Best Picture, by the way.
And this is the only one that won, huh?
I believe so. Yeah, Fellowship won Best Cinematography, which
Okay.
Return of the King did not. Let's see what Two Towers won. Fellowship won 4 Oscars, so this is definitely
Wow.
the more successful one. Two Towers won 2 Oscars, including sound editing and visual effects, but was also nominated for Best Picture, editing, sound, and art direction.
Man, wow. But Return of the King, I guess, to the Academy is by far the best one. It seems to them. Which I mean, technically, like technically speaking, I feel like just to make the movie, like yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I feel like the most involved. There's just a lot of shots that are very intensive for 2003. Like how did like this is, I don't know, kind of it boggles my mind some of the shots that they were able to get in 2003. Like whenever
Yeah.
the I feel like I don't know if the tower has a name, but whatever the Tower of the Eye is on, whenever it's going down and that shockwave goes out and like
Oh
all
yeah,
of the like
gorgeous.
pieces, like I don't know, that was just I feel like holy shit, that just looked fucking awesome. And I think a credit to your point, it's like it looked fantasy as shit. It didn't look real. It looked
Yeah.
like we were in Mordor. I don't know, and it looked like what it would in hell. So like it fits so well. And yeah, for 2003, like I don't know, it was just they used it whenever it was needed, but then a lot of it's still like on location. Like I loved the sequence of like the lighting the fires for like the signal and the beacon and like just going to like
Oh
the different
yeah.
mountain ranges and like just all that. That was I don't know. If we did that
Yeah, that
back in
was
the day
awesome.
as humans, I feel like that's the only way we could send a message across the earth, if and
Mm-hmm.
whoever's job it was just to stand up there and just be looking, you were just stand and watch to light the beacon if one is raised. It's
Gondor's called.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. Yeah, man. I don't know. I love this movie. I love this trilogy. Um, and like I said, I feel like less and less happens in every movie, even though they get longer and longer, which is funny. But
yeah.
yeah, I don't really have much else I think I have to say about Return of the King, other than I really did love it, man. I did love it. I loved this trilogy. Um,
Man.
and I can't wait for whatever comes next. I am gonna watch The Hobbit. I'm gonna watch those movies. I'm gonna watch Rings of Power. I'm probably gonna prioritize Rings of Power, to be honest. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I need more. I guess Bilbo and his story would be kind of cool, but I don't know, the Rings of Power just looked really, really. I watched the first two episodes, and I actually like really enjoyed the first two episodes, and
yeah,
then I just stopped on principle for not watching the movies, and then I feel like
right.
yeah, I was gonna go like just the release order, but now knowing that there were animated movies and actually stuff before, I feel like I'm already out of order, so I can. It doesn't really matter, I guess, what order I digested in now, but I feel like the main juice has been watched. I feel like this is where everyone
Won't
starts.
top this.
Yeah.
Won't top
So,
this.
but man,
Um,
yeah, it's
but yeah,
a trilogy, another trilogy down in the books, or another franchise. Almost, I guess, part of it down in the books.
part of a
But
franchise.
man, yeah.
Definitely a full trilogy. But yeah, then I
Mm.
think with that we can conclude our coverage of Return of the King. I'll do the plugs, then we can rate this bad boy, and we'll call it a year. That'll be it. But
Man.
yeah, so if you would head to TikTok, follow at Penny Bloom Dispatch, and you can follow on Blue Sky at the Cinementalists, the way it's spelt in the title of the episode here. You can follow me on Blue Sky at Colton Robertson, and that's just for any updates on what we're doing. If anything gets delayed or anything changes, that's where you'll most likely know. We're a couple days removed from Christmas, where we covered the holdovers. So happy with that. You should go check that out. And we're a couple days away from New Year's Eve, where we'll be
Mm.
covering Challengers, one of our favorite movies from 2024, to round out 2024. Love that. It only felt fitting to cap off the year with one of our favorites from the year. Let's see. We're going to be beginning 2024 with our top 100 of the 20s so far, which is a lot of
Mm.
movies. Over the course of the 5 weeks in January, we will be doing our top 100, and we'll get back to movie coverage in February. And I'm so very, very excited. Might have a couple surprises for you in the meantime as well, but we shall see. But yeah, so top 100 of the 20 so far in January, challengers here in a couple days, and then we shall see where we go from there. But yeah, leave a 5-star rate and review and download wherever you might be listening. That is a huge help. And yeah, so let's rate this movie. How did you feel
Mm.
about Return of the King on
Well,
a scale of 1 to 10?
for me, it's not quite Fellowship, but it's a little more than Two Towers. For me, I feel like the ending helps it a lot. It is ending
Yeah,
the trilogy. But I feel like there's some parts of Two Towers I enjoy a little bit more. I feel like it's just building to one massive battle. It's just a whole different feeling rather than like we're in the thick of the shit and it's just we're going from
right.
battle to battle. So just kind of different dynamics. But I feel like I'm above a 9.25. And I think it's closer to Two Towers though, so I naturally lean to 9.5 for me. Is where I think I'll land.
And I'll align with you there. I kind of view Two Towers and this on the same level. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I do think that the ending gives it a little bit of an extra oomph. It made me very emotionally fulfilled, um, and I feel very satisfied. We feel the same way Frodo does. Whenever he's like,
Mm-hmm.
"And what now?"
Yeah.
I felt that when I was watching the movie. I was like, "Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do now. I've gotten attached to these movies very, very quickly. What do I do now?"
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I loved it. I loved this trilogy, and I do think it deserves that little boost over Two Towers. But
Man. Yeah,
yeah, so we got a 10, a 9.25, and a 9.5 out
yeah.
of the trilogy.
That's pretty damn good. I mean, dude, For the OT and Star Wars, I feel like I forgot what we rate. Did we rate them during the
We
live
didn't even
comms?
rate those. Yeah, we
Okay,
didn't
I
rate
didn't think
those.
so. I wonder how they would stand. I feel like the OT has the best chance of actually standing up to those scores. But
I would
and
say
just our
so.
love for them. But man, yeah, quite goddamn. Better late than never. But finally, I don't know. Finally, I've gotten through them. But man, yeah, it's we've done or
Lord of
it's
the
done.
Rings.
As
It done.
mhm.
3 weeks. 3 weeks. It feels like a lifetime. 13 months to the day since our journey began,
Mm-hmm.
as Frodo says.
Mm.
But yeah, I loved it, man. So that is a wrap for Lord of the Rings here on the Cinementalists. And like I said, go follow us where you can to get any updates on what we're doing. We'll be able to tell you what movies we're going to be covering soon, following the top 100 of the 20s. We got a lot to look forward to. So I'm very, very excited. But yeah, with that, I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, for Frodo.